Hello, my name is Hassan Sorrells, and this is the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast shorts. There's no co-host on these shorts episodes. These are now around 2 to 4 minute, sometimes as long as 6 to 10 minute observations, ideas, thoughts, or rants about the literature, philosophy, psychology, and even the theology of leadership. Because listening to me talk about leadership for now around 2 to 4 minutes is still better than reading and trying to understand yet another business book. Even that business book your coworker won't stop raving about because it quote-unquote changed their life, but you can't see any difference in their leadership behavior. So how good could that author be? I've probably talked about this topic before on the show, but bear with me, as there are always new people downloading these episodes. Well, if you think about coaching in any sort of depth or breadth, you realize that coaching people to perform with excellence requires several skill sets and competencies that many leaders, whether they be in supervision, be in management, or in the executive C-suite, struggle to obtain. The biggest 3 competencies that people struggle with are as follows: commitment, empathy, and discipline. Now, these seem counterintuitive because, of course, if you're coaching, you must be committed, you must be empathetic, and you must naturally be disciplined, but that's not always the case. True commitment, genuine commitment from one leader to a follower or from one person to another requires an individual to have a commitment, have a clear-eyed understanding and a clear perception of the truth about an individual's talents, skills, and the competency level that they may have attained. Such commitment requires seeing the potential in a person as well as the pitfalls. And of course, being able to see the potentials and the pitfalls quite clearly. Now, of course, emotion gets wrapped up in this, and this is where empathy comes in. Empathy requires being hard-headed about providing feedback. Feelings are transitory and ephemeral, as any good coach knows. Feedback is sometimes hard to hear, and sometimes not. Sometimes it lands on an angry day, sometimes it lands on a happy day, but every day, feedback lands. Genuine empathy requires caring enough about another person's development to commit ruthlessly and decidedly to temporarily emotionally hurting them in order to help them develop further in the long run. By the way, the third area ties into that second area of empathy, and that third area is discipline. Discipline is the factor that undergirds both commitment and empathy. Discipline in coaching is what allows the coach to go as far, to travel as far or further than the person that they happen to be coaching. It also prevents the coach from harming the person they are coaching in deeply meaningful ways. It does require discipline to be able to push somebody to their limits without breaking them. Most of these competencies, commitment, empathy, and discipline, are coded for more of a masculine than a feminine temperament, which is why many coaching programs offered in workplaces fail the quote-unquote smell test for so many male leaders. Think about it. If you're coaching leaders and your coaching program doesn't focus on any of these 3 areas or gives short shrift to some and not enough shrift to others, you'll probably train up more men than women, or you might train up more women than men, and you'll probably be invited back next year to deliver the exact same content again without the result actually changing. Food for thought if you're a leader or a coach, or a leader and a coach. And well, that's it for me. Thank you for listening to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast today. And now that you've made it this far, You should subscribe to the audio version of this show on all the major podcast players, including Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, and everywhere else where podcasts are available. There's also a video version of our podcast on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to the video version of this podcast on the Leadership Toolbox channel on YouTube. Just search for Leadership Toolbox and hit the subscribe button there on YouTube. And while you're doing that, leave a 5-star review if you like what we're doing here on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Just go below the player and hit 5 stars. We need those reviews to grow, and it's the easiest way to help grow this show. And tell all your friends, of course, in leadership. By the way, if you don't like what we're doing here, well, you can always listen to another leadership show. There are several other good ones out there. At least that's what I've heard. All right. Well, that's it for me.